Welcome to In Your Face, live from Atlanta, Georgia. I am your guest moderator, Kennington Smith. On my left, I have William Thomas, and on my right, I have Mr. Alex Hearns. We're going to get into some baseball today. We're going to talk about the Braves, and then we're going to conclude with the college football playoff. To start, last year's wild card game between the Braves and the Cardinals. Absolute heartbreak for the Atlanta Braves as a questionable infield fly rule ended the game for the Braves and ended their playoff hopes before they even got a chance to start. Alex, what are your thoughts on that game?
Really, I did a rant on about it yesterday, and you missed out, man. It was one of the best rants in recent memory. But anyway, here's one thing about it. It was the worst call since Jim Joyce, as I explained in the rant yesterday. Everybody knows that. Even Steve knows that. But anyway, it wasn't the main umpire's call. It was the third base umpire's call. They must have been high on something, man. Honestly.
You think, Alex, so what do you think baseball needs to do to correct this? Do you think that we should not do a one-game playoff? Do you think that we should do instant replay?
No. I mean, I love the concept. I really do. It's just that it needs to be like a manager challenge or something, like for the NFL or something.
It's like a red challenge flag. That's your idea?
Yeah.
Okay. William, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, see, I think everybody can agree it was an awful call. Awful call. Terrible, terrible, terrible. But the reality is, if they didn't get themselves in that situation to begin with, they wouldn't be using this blown call as a scapegoat. They were down like 6-3 at the time, I believe. They wouldn't be using this blown call as a scapegoat. And what a classless act. I'm a Braves fan, but I have to say that was a classless act by the Braves fans. Hurling trash and beer bottles and all this kind of junk onto the field, delaying the game even further than it already had been with all the booze and just crazy volatile fans. It was a shame. It was a shameful act by the Braves fans, and they shouldn't even have been in that situation to begin with, down 6-3.
You have to understand, the Braves fans are very passionate. The Braves have a very storied history, real serious. You know, the stretch where they won countless division titles in a row. This is high energy, high emotional playoff baseball. They don't want the game to be decided in the hands of the officials. They want the players to decide the game.
Another thing, guys, 30 years ago at the time, in 1982, they basically turned in the National League Championship Series at the time. 30 years apart. How coincidental is that, you guys?
Mm-hmm. Passionate fan base, but yet ranks middle of the road in average attendance, about 35,000 a game. And further so, to go off what you're saying, a one-game playoff series cannot determine who's a better team. Has to be a minimum of 3 games at least. A majority of the wins has to be accounted for, not who's better that one day, that one game.
All right, well, baseball definitely has some refining to do with this system. We're going to move on, continue with the Atlanta Braves. 2 years ago, they faltered on the stretch and they lost the division to the Phillies. A year ago, it was the heartbreaking infield fly rule. Now we're sitting at the All-Star break. They're up 6 games, I believe, on the Nationals. They're a bad road team. They don't really bat well, middle-of-the-road batting average. What can we expect from the Atlanta Braves second half of the season?
Well, unfortunately, they're too deep into money right now. I wish we could go out and get, you see, what they shouldn't have done. What they shouldn't have done was let Michael Bourne get away, because now we don't have a legitimate leadoff hitter, somebody who can keep their on-base percentage above their weight, okay? Because Andrelton Simmons is not a classic one-hitter. He is a two-hitter. He is a perfect two-hitter, and Hayward is not a two-hitter. Hayward should be about 5 or 6, but we're too deep into our money that we can't go out and get a leadoff hitter, somebody that can actually get on base and produce runs, and now we've injured our whole bench, people that can actually do it. Schaefer, Gaddis is just now coming back. Pena's done for the year. MV Pena, by the way. And now we just too far deep and we can't do anything in the trade market. I'm afraid we're just going to have to stick it out with what we got. Home run or nothing.
Alex, can the Braves make it to the World Series?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think they could get farther than the players they have done in the last 10 years. I mean, haven't reached the NLCS since 2001.
Okay, let me propose this question to you.
What?
A few years ago, when you turn on the radio, what would the ad say? Come out, check out Brian McCann and the Atlanta Braves. Come out, Chipper Jones and the Atlanta Braves. Now, it's a new age of Brave stars. It's Craig Kimbrell. It's Upton. It's the Hayward. It's Evan Gaddis. Do you think that they should trade a guy like Brian McCann? And I'm not, diminishing what Brian McCann has done. He's been great for the Atlanta Braves, but it's a new age of Brave stars. Do you think that they should unload Brian McCann and get some guys who can hit, some guys who can pitch in relief in return?
No. Honestly, no. Honestly, no.
You don't think so?
No.
Do you think that Evan Gaddis could do as well as Brian McCann or even better in his position?
Yes. Honestly, absolutely.
So why wouldn't Brian McCann be a valuable trade piece at this time?
I mean, he's like one of the best players on the team. I mean, if we trade him, it could be a low blow for the Braves. I mean, we're the best team in the National League East right now. We start playing against the crappy team from Chicago on the American Central side, on the south side, not the north side, but the south side, tomorrow night at US Cellular Field, people. Come on. Let's go.
Well, Alex said the Braves can make it to the World Series. Do you believe they can make it to the World Series? William?
Of course not. Of course not. Not the way things are going. If you got to get to postseason, if you want to get to October, look at what the Giants have done. 2 of the past 3 World Series, and they do it small ball. Okay, Not a power team. They're playing in AT&T Park, one of the most proverbial pitchers parks known in the MLB, and they play small ball, singles, doubles in the alleys, sacrifice bunts when they need to, driving people in with singles, not relying on the long ball, not KOing, striking out every other batter, not leading the league in strikeouts. Pitching and fundamental hitting is the way you can do it. And the Braves, they're just not consistent. I can't count on them to be there in October.
Shut up, William. If they could do that, they could probably win it all.
I'm going to leave the conversation with this stat. The last 10 World Series champion average batting average 276. The Braves team batting average 250. Excuse me, I thought it was 244, even lower, but around 250. Middle of the road. We're going to conclude today with the college football playoff. It's going to be a committee of about 15 to 20 guys, a correction from the BCS. What do you think about the college football playoff system?
Well, see, I just saw a recent report that 5 of these members are guaranteed Big 5 conference schools. And the NCAA's whole thing is they're trying to get an even opportunity, even shot for everybody in there. Mm-hmm. If they're representing the 5 big conferences on this board and they don't have the 5 guaranteed slots from athletic directors from the minor conferences, then how is this fair? How is this an equal opportunity for every single team to be guaranteed in there? And I don't think a 14 playoff is enough anyways. I think they need to expand it to 18 playoffs. And furthermore, I think they should get rid of the preseason poll. What's the use of a preseason poll in predicting it's gonna eventually sway who's in the championship game? For example, 2004, I'm an Auburn fan. We were preseason ranked 22, okay? USC and Oklahoma were 1 and 2 entering the season.
Right.
Guess who's in the championship game? USC and Oklahoma ended the end of the year. Auburn went undefeated, but by them not being one of the top tier teams, and by USC and Oklahoma not losing, they were left out of the championship game. And what do we see? USC completely demolished Oklahoma like 55-14, and Auburn went on to be undefeated and never got their shot to play in the national championship game. So I do like this playoff system.
We gotta hurry up with this thing.
So Alex, now we're gonna get to you. How do you feel about the college football system?
You know what? Honestly, I can say it's a really innovative concept. This is a recreation of the Final Four for the NCAA March Madness tournament. All I'm gonna say is this: I hope it really works well, and I hope the preseason poll will be dead by the end of 2013.
You think? So you think that this could be an equivalent to the Final Four in March Madness?
Shoot, yeah.
In January. Okay, well, I'm going to say that it can be equal opportunity because you can look at this past year, you look at the top 10, 7 of them came from the SEC. You had a team like Georgia who was ranked in the top 3, and just by virtue of losing, even though it's a very close game, you can't tell a computer that they lost in the last play on the 5-yard line. Just by them losing, they slide back a spot. Florida slides up a spot. Only 2 teams in the conference can land in BCS game. Florida gets crushed by Louisville. Georgia, who should have been the Sugar Bowl, did not get their fair opportunity. So I think that the college football playoffs will allow teams like Georgia to still get a shot at the national title, even losing in the conference championship.
Yes, that's what my daddy says. That's what my dad says, and I agree with him.
They should get rid of the 2-team conference BCS bowl bid to begin with.
Right.
The best teams need to be in there. Who was left out? LSU, Texas A&M, arguably the hottest team at the end of the year was left out, as well as who else? Arkansas and LSU were also both there, and they were left out at the end of the year because of the 2 conference team minimum or maximum that's in the BCS games. Let's get rid of that as well.
Final question before we wrap up. Do they stay at 4 or do they expand to 8, 12, maybe even 16?
Oh, they're going to expand. It's all about the money. It's all about the money, and that's how they're going to make the money, and that's all I have to say about that. It makes me mad.
They're going to expand it because it's all about greed. That's what's wrong with the world of sports today. It's money this, money that. Money here, money there. Money every stinking where in the world of sports. God, like when I was a kid, money didn't matter. You know what? Greed is a piece of crap on the bottom of my shoe. That's what I think about greed, people. That's what I think.
Well said, Alex, and that'll do it for In Your Face. For William Thomas and Alex Horn, I am Kennington Smith, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.